Good morning, Year 4, and welcome to our final lesson of the week and also our final lesson of fractions. So as I said yesterday, we're going to be doing a little end of unit review today to apply our skills to a range of different questions on fractions. But first of all, we're going to start, as always, with our do now. So you can see you've got 5 questions on this side of arithmetic questions and some slightly more challenging ones here. So you can choose which ones you'd like to do, or if you want to, you can do both. So I'm just going to zoom in so you can see them a bit more clearly. So pause your video, have a go and come back when you're ready. Okay, hopefully you have managed to have a go at those. I'm now going to pop the answers up, so make sure you're ready to mark. Okay, so I suggest you pause the video so you can mark the questions and then come back when you're ready to continue with the lesson. Fantastic. Okay, we're going to get on with today's learning. So as I said, we're going to be doing an end of unit review. So we're going to look at a range of different questions on fractions, applying everything that we have learnt in the last 3 and 4 weeks. And you will need to pause the video in between each one and write down your answers. So question number 1, you're going to be completing the equivalent fractions. So remember, when we're looking at equivalent fractions, we need to make sure the denominator and the numerator can be multiplied and divided by the same number. So you've got your fraction wall there to help you. So I'm just going to zoom in, you can see that a bit more clearly. So pause your video, have a go and come back when you're ready. Okay, let's have a look at the answers together. So the first one, 4 times 2 equals 8. So I also need to do 3 times 2, which is equal to 6. And I can also see on my fraction wall, 3/4, if I go down, is the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. Okay. Number 2. We've got 4, 6 here, so I need to think about how many times 6 goes into 12, which is 2 that way. So again, 4 times 2 is 8, so I should have 8/12. 3 times 2 is 6, so something times 2 is 10. So we should have had 5 for that one there. And the final one, 2 times 2 is 4, so again I'm doubling. 3 times 2 is 6. And now I can find the missing one here. 6 times 2 is 12, so 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, I'll just pause for a moment so you can check your answers. Okay, and question number 2. Okay, obviously you don't need to draw the shapes out, but you're going to just be finding what fraction of each shape is shaded. So remember, my denominator is the whole, and the numerator should be telling me how many are shaded. So I would like you to pause the video again, have a go, and come back when you're ready. Okay, fantastic. Let's look at the answers together. So number 1, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts in total, and 2 are shaded, 2/5. The next one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 in total. So that's my denominator. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And hopefully you can recognise that is also the same as a half, because 8 is half of 16. The next one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in total, and 4 are shaded, which is also the same as 1/3, because 4 can be divided into 12 3 times. For the final one, I have 1, 2. Now I'm going to split this one in half to show you. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if I break that up, I've got 12 parts in total, and 2 of them are shaded. Okay, but you may also have recognised if I put this part here next to this part, I would have had 1 whole square shaded. So if I counted it as separate squares, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1 out of 6 could also be your answer there. So it's an equivalent fraction. So if you've got 2/12 or 1/6, both are correct. Okay, let's look at the next question. Okay, so which shapes have exactly 1/3 shaded? So we looked at this in yesterday's lesson a little bit. So have a think think about what I just did in the previous question, you may need to break the shapes up, a little bit more. Oops, sorry, I've just realised this one is supposed to say C and D as well. Apologies. So you can pause the video and then which ones have exactly 1/3 shaded. Off you go. Okay, hopefully you've had a little bit of a think about that. So let's have a look together. So I'm looking for 1/3. So if I look at the first one now, it's really only got 2 parts. But if I look at the size of the blue one, I could break this up a little bit more. So there are 3 equal parts. So that means that 1 out of 3 would be shaded. So that one is 1/3. So A is definitely 1/3. If I look at the next one, again, I'm looking at the blue section. So if I break it up into equal parts again, I now have 4 equal parts and one of them is shaded. So that one would be 1/4. So that is not 1/3. If I look at C, again, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 parts and one of them is shaded. So that's 1/4 again. So that one is not equal to 1/3. And the final one, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 parts in total. And 2 of them are shaded, 2, 6. So I think really carefully, is that an equivalent of 1/3? Let's just check that and see if it works. So 6 divided by 2 equals 3, and 2 divided by 2 equals 1. Fantastic. So D is equivalent. Well done if you managed to get those. Okay, let's look at the next question. Okay, so what you need to do now is look at the fraction number lines and can you work out which number or fraction is missing? Now I have labelled them so you can write down in your book or on your paper the name, the letter and then what the answer is for each one. Okay, you don't need to draw it out, you can just do that to make it easier. Okay, pause the video and off you go. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one together. So I have 0, and if I look at the next one, it's going up in tenths. 2/10, 3/10, and so on. So this one becomes before, so I know that one must be 1/10 that is missing there. In the next one, it's going up 3 something 5, so I know that one's going to be 4/10, 5/10, 6/10, 7/10, 8/10, 9/10, 10/10, or 1/2. The next one, it is going up in 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going up in quarters. That's why my denominator is 4. So I've got 1/4 here. So as you can see, what should come first would have been 0. And then after 2 quarters, I would have 3 quarters. Okay, finally, I have 1, 2, 3 parts. So we can see we've got 2/3 here. So before 2/3, I would have 1/3, and then finally 3/3 as an improper fraction, but I would write it as 1/2 like these ones here. Okay? Right, moving on to the next one, we're going to look at some with improper fractions now. So your number line this time is going from 0 to 5. So you've got your wholes, 1/2, 2 wholes, 3 wholes, 4 wholes, 5 wholes. Okay, so think carefully. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 parts in between. So if there are 4 parts, what is my denominator going to be? And when we get to B, you can write that as an improper fraction. So 1 and what is the fraction going to be? So pause the video, have a go, and come back when you are ready. Off you go. Okay, let's have a look at those together. So the first one is between 0 and 1. And remember I said we're counting in 1, 2, 3, 4 jumps. There are 4 jumps, so it should be quarters on my denominator. So I have 1, 2 quarters. So 2 quarters is the answer for A, or you may have written that was 1/2. I will accept both answers because both are equivalent. For the next one, I have 1, so it's 1/2, and then it's the first line. So 1/2 and 1/4 should be your answer for that one. Okay, for the next one, if I go to C, I've got 3, so it becomes after 3, so that's 3 wholes. And then 1, 2, 3, 3 quarters. So 3 wholes and 3 quarters. Then D, I have 4, so it's 4 wholes, 1, 2, and 2 quarters. Well, you may have written that one as 4 and a half. There's also some different ways you might have written that. You might not have written it as a mixed fraction, so I could also say that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 quarters for B. I could say that 3 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 quarters. So remember, I do 3 times 4 and add the 3, so that would be 15 quarters. Similarly for here, 4 times 4 is 16, add 2 is 18, good. So that could also be 18 quarters. So don't worry if you just wrote it as one of those, we're just looking for one of those answers, but I'm just showing you the different ways that we could have written that. Okay, let's look at the next question. Okay, so we're going to have a look at some calculating, subtracting and adding fractions now. So you have a few questions to complete here. Think carefully about what your whole numbers are. So I have 1 whole take away 4/6 and 2 wholes take away 4/5, just like we've practiced. And then there's another question at the bottom, adding them to fractions to make 1. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see that a bit more clearly. Pause the video, have a go and come back when you're ready. Off you go. Okay, hopefully you've had a go at those ones. Let's go through the answers together. So remember, for adding and subtracting fractions, hopefully you've remembered from all of our hard work, I'm just adding or subtracting the numerator in these ones. So 8 take away 5 is 3, and my denominator stays the same. Okay, we've got a missing one here in B. So 3 nights plus something plus 1 night equals 8 nights. So I know 3 add 1 is 4. So 4 add something equals 8. So the missing number there should have been 4. 3 add 4 is 7, add 1 is 8. And again, my denominator staying the same. Okay, for C, we should have changed 1 whole to something to do with my 6 here. So 1 whole in 6 would be the same as 6, 6. So 6, 6 take away 4, 6. So 6 take away 4 is 2. 6 take away 6 is my denominator. And D, 2 wholes, so it's in fifths here, so 2 times 5 is 10, so there would be 10 fifths in 2 wholes, if I'm counting in fifths, and then I need to do 10 take away 4, which is 6, and my denominator stays the same. Okay, you may also have written for this answer 1 and 1/5 if you've used your bar models to help you. Okay, E, which 2 fractions add together to make 1 whole? So my denominator's all in 8. So if my denominator is 8 and I'm trying to make 1 whole, I also need to have 8 on my numerator. So which 2 numbers would add together to make 8? So hopefully you realise it's 5 8s and 3 8s would equal 8 8s. Okay, let's look at some fractions of quantities now. We're going to do a couple of word problems to practice this as well. So remember, if I'm finding a fraction of quantity, I can draw my bar model to help me. So I would have 5 equal parts for this one. Or remember, I can divide by the numerator and divide by the denominator, and multiply by the numerator, because that is what I'm doing in my bar model when I work it out. Just be careful when you get to the last one, because I'm looking for the whole. So you may need to draw a bar model to help you. So pause the video when you're ready and have a go. Off you go. Okay, let's have a look at these answers together. So for question number 1, 35 divided by 5 is 7, times 1 is also 7. For the next question, 20 divided by 4 is 5. 5 times 3 is 15. For the next one, I have 66 divided by 6, which is 11, times 5 is 55. And I'm just going to draw a bar model just to show you the last one, because we should have been able to use our skills that we have used over the past couple of days. So we should have had a bar model with 5 equal parts, because my denominator is 5. Excuse my lines, hopefully that's nice and neat. So as we practiced over the last few lessons, I'm looking for 2/5 of something equals 10. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. I know 2 of them are equal to 10. So to find one part, I need to divide to find that. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. So that means all of my other parts are also 5, and now I can count them up. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Okay? Hopefully you managed to have a go at that one. If you have used your bar model to help you as well, fantastic. Let's move on to some word problems now. Okay, so Archie has 12 sweets. He eats 3/4 of them. How many are left over? Archie has 12 sweets, he eats 3/4 of them. How many are left over? So pause the video, have a go, use the pictures to help you and your bar models, and then come back when you're ready and we'll go through the answer together. Off you go. Okay, so hopefully you've managed to have a go at that. Let's have a look at how we can use our bar model to help us. So Archie's got 12 sweets in total and he's eaten 3/4. That's my main information there, 3/4. So I'm looking for 3/4 of 12. But then it says how many are left over. So I'm finding 3/4 of 12, but then I want to know how many are left. So it's a little bit like the questions that we were looking at in our last lesson, looking at bar models. So I'm going to label what I know. I know he's got 12 sweets in total. So my whole bar model is representing 12. Then it tells me he eats 3/4 of them. So I know he has eaten 1, 2, 3. He eats those. So I want to know how many he's got left. So what I'm going to be looking for is this part of my bar model, how many he has got left. Okay. So I'm going to start labeling now. So the first thing I can do is 12 divided by 4 to find out one part. So I know 12 divided by 4 is 3. So each part of my bar model represents 3. Okay. So Archie has eaten 3/4, so he has eaten 3, 6, 9. So he's eaten 9 sweets. There are 3 left over. So Archie in total, 3 left over is the answer. There are 3 sweets left over. You may also have drawn it as an array to help you as well. I'm just going to show you on the bar model today because that's what we have been practicing. So well done if you got that one correct. Let's look at one more example of a word problem. Okay, Lucas is thinking of a number. He says 2/5 of my number is 12. What number is he thinking of? So again, we're trying to find the whole here. So I'm going to have to use my bar model to help me. So I've already drawn a bar model with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts because it's in fifths. I know what 2/5 is because it tells me here. What number was he starting with, okay? So use what you know, label the bar model, have a go and come back when you're ready. Off you go. Okay, hopefully you've managed to have a go at that. Let's go through together our final question. Okay, so Lucas is thinking of a number. He says 2/5 is 12. 2/5 is equal to 12. What number is he thinking of? So I'm trying to find the whole now. So it's 2/5 of something is 12, just like we've been practicing. Okay, so I'm going to label my bar model. I don't know the whole yet. That is what I'm trying to find out. But I do know 2/5 is equal to 12. So as we looked at before, I need to find what 1/5 is to be able to find my whole, okay? So I need to do 12 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So I know both those parts are 6. So because my fractions equal, each other part of my bar module, is also 6. So let's go back to the question. Lucas is thinking of a number. He says 2/5 of his number is 12. What number is he thinking of? So my number is going to be the whole. So now I need to add up all the parts. So 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. So the number, the whole that he was thinking of is 30. Okay, that's the final question of our lesson for today. So I hope you've managed to get lots of those answers correct after all the fantastic work we have been doing on fractions over the last few weeks. I've been really impressed with everyone's work that I've seen on Seesaw, so please do post some of the work today so we can see how you have done. And next week we'll be starting a new topic of time. So very exciting. So well done everybody, have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you next week for some more maths.